Good morning, dear students. I hope you are all safe by staying at home. In last class, we had seen about the atomic structure of atom. We had seen the discovery of nucleus, Rutherford's atom model, Bohr's atom model and its limitations, and then geometric representation of atomic structure, valence electron, valency, and electronic configuration of elements. These are the things we discussed in the last class. In this class, we are going to see about laws of chemical composition. You know that the chemical reaction is governed by 5 laws: law of conservation of mass, law of constant proportion, law of multiple proportion, law of reciprocal proportions, Gay-Lussac's law of combining volume. The first 2 laws already you have learnt in 8th standard. Anyhow, I am going to recollect that. First one, law of conservation of mass. What is law of conservation of mass means? The mass of the reactant. In a chemical reaction, the mass of the reactant is equal to the mass of the product. So, neither the mass is destroyed nor created. That is law of conservation of mass. That I am going to explain with an illustration. Carbon combines with oxygen, it forms carbon dioxide. Here, carbon and oxygen are going to take part in chemical reaction. So, these two are called reactants. That means, the substance which are taking part in chemical reactions are called reactants. And the new substance formed as a result of chemical combination is called a product. Here, carbon dioxide is the product. So, when we are calculating the mass of the reactant, here one carbon reacts with 2 atoms or 1 mole of oxygen. 1 molecule of oxygen or 1 mole of oxygen or 2 atoms of oxygen. Here the mass of carbon is 12 gram and the mass of oxygen is 32 gram. And the total mass of the reactant is 44 gram. The same way we can calculate the mass of the product. Here 1 mole of carbon dioxide is formed. 1 mole of carbon dioxide contains 1 carbon and 2 atoms of oxygen. So, 1 carbon, the mass of 1 carbon is 12 and the mass of 2 oxygen is 32. Therefore, when we are adding that, we are getting 44 gram. The law of conservation of mass is not hold good for nuclear reactions because the reactant, the mass of the reactant is always greater than the mass of the product, because the mass last is converted into energy in nuclear reactions. So, this law is not hold good for nuclear reactions. And then next, law of constant proportion. Whatever the method of preparation, a compound always contains the same elements in a definite proportion. That is law of constant proportion that you have learned in 8th standard. Whatever the method of preparation, for example, sulfur dioxide. When we are preparing the sulfur dioxide in laboratory, it contains 1 atom of sulfur and 2 atoms of oxygen when we are preparing. So, the proportion of sulfur and oxygen is 1:2. The same way, when it is obtained in atmosphere, the sulfur dioxide contains 1 sulfur atom and 2 oxygen atoms. So, the ratio between sulfur and oxygen in atmosphere also 1:2. So, whatever the method of preparation, a compound always contains the same element in a definite proportion. That is law of constant proportion. And the third one we are going to see, that is law of multiple proportion. So, what is law of multiple proportion means? When 2 elements A and B combine together to form more than 1 compound, it forms more than 1 compound, then the masses of A separately combines with a fixed mass of B are in simple ratio. I think the law can be understood when I explain with an illustration. Here, let us consider carbon. Carbon is fixed in mass. So, this will be considered as a B according to the law. So, this is fixed. The mass of carbon is fixed in both the reaction. So here also 12 gram, here also 12 gram. So according to the law, carbon is B and oxygen is A. Different masses of A combines with the fixed mass of B. So we are getting two different kinds of products. One is carbon monoxide and another one is carbon dioxide. In both the reaction, the mass of carbon is constant. Here also 12 gram, here also 12 gram. That is fixed. So this is considered as a B according to the law. And oxygen, here it is 16 gram, here it is a 32 gram. So as a result, we are getting two different products. That's what it is mentioned as more than one compound. Here we are getting two compounds. One is carbon monoxide and another one is carbon dioxide. In first case, that means in this case, the oxygen, mass of oxygen is 16 gram and mass of carbon is 12 gram. And in case 2, mass of oxygen is 32 and the mass of carbon is 12. So the mass of carbon is fixed in both the cases. So this is considered as element B. And the different masses of A combines, I told you know. So here oxygen is considered as A. In first case, the mass of oxygen is 16 and in second case, the mass of oxygen is 32. So when we are calculating the ratio of oxygen in both the cases, in first case the mass of oxygen is 16 and in second case the mass of oxygen is 32, therefore 16 is to 32. These are the multiples of 16, so we can reduce by 16, we are getting 1:2. So it bears a simple whole number ratio. So that's what the law is stated here, or in simple ratio. So when two elements, that means carbon and oxygen, one is carbon and another one is oxygen. So when two elements A and B combine together, these two are going to combine, carbon and oxygen going to combine to form more than one compound. In first case it forms carbon monoxide and in second case it forms carbon dioxide. So more than one compound. Here we are getting two compounds, carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide. So more than one compound. Then the masses of A separately combines, masses of A, here it is 16, here it is 32. So masses of A combines with a fixed mass of B, that means 12 gram, fixed mass of B, separately combines with a fixed mass of B or in simple ratio. So when we are calculating the ratio of oxygen in both the reaction, we are getting 16:32, that can be reduced as 1:2. So it gives a simple ratio. That's all about law of multiple proportion. Now we are going to see law of reciprocal proportion. If two different elements combine separately with the same weight of third element, the ratios of the masses in which they do so are either the same or a simple multiple of mass ratio in which they combine. This law, when you read that, it will be difficult to understand, but when you look at the law with illustration, it will be easy for you to understand. So here, which are the two different elements? Here hydrogen, here oxygen. So these are the two different elements. One is hydrogen and another one is oxygen. These two different elements combine separately with the same weight of carbon. See here, carbon, in both the cases, here also 12 gram, here also 12 gram. When it is combining with the hydrogen also, the mass of carbon is 12. When it is combining with the oxygen also, the mass of carbon is 12. So two different elements combine separately with the same weight of third element. The ratio of masses in which they do so are either the same or a simple multiple of mass ratio in which they combine. We will see. So these are the two different elements combined to going to combine with the fixed mass of a third element. So in first case, let us see carbon and hydrogen, the reaction between carbon and hydrogen. When carbon reacts with the 2 moles of hydrogen, it forms methane. So in this direction the reaction takes place like this. And in second case, carbon combines with oxygen, it forms carbon dioxide. So, we are going to calculate the ratio between the mass of hydrogen and oxygen. Mass of hydrogen and oxygen. In first case, the mass of hydrogen is 4. In second case, the mass of oxygen is 32. But the mass of carbon in both the cases is 12. That is fixed mass. But in first case, the mass of hydrogen is 4. In second case, the mass of oxygen is 32. So, when we are finding the ratio of these two elements between hydrogen and oxygen, that means the ratio of hydrogen and oxygen 4:32. 4 and 32 are the multiples of 4. So, we can cancel both the numbers by 4. We will be getting the simple ratio 1:8. And this is the fixed mass of third element combined with the two different elements. But in another way, hydrogen combines with oxygen, it forms water also. In this, when we are calculating the mass of hydrogen and the mass of oxygen, here it is 2, here it is 16. So when we are, so the ratio of mass of hydrogen and oxygen in this case is 2:16. These are the two numbers, multiples of 2. So when we are cancelling that, we are getting 1:8. So this also bears a simple ratio. That is the law. So if two different elements, here which are the two different elements? Hydrogen and oxygen. So two different elements combined separately with the same weight of third element. So when hydrogen combines with the carbon, the mass of carbon is 12. When oxygen combines with the carbon, the mass of oxygen is, mass of carbon is 12. So the third element is the same weight for the two different elements. So the ratio of masses in which they do so are either the same or a simple multiple. Simple multiple means here we are getting multiple of 4. So when we are reducing that, we are getting 1:8. So simple multiple of the mass ratio in which they combine. If these two elements combine, we are getting the same ratio of hydrogen and oxygen. So the law is proved. The last law governed by us to conduct the chemical reaction is Gay-Lussac's law of combining volume. Whenever gases react together, that means the reactants are gases. Whenever gases react together to form gaseous product, here the product also the gas, reactants also the gas and the product also the gas. The volumes of the reacting gases and the products, the volumes of the reacting gases and the products bear a simple whole number ratio. When we are finding the ratio of the reactants and the products, that will bear a simple whole number ratio provided all the volumes are measured. That means the volume of the product as well as the volume of the reactants, that is all the volume. All the volumes are measured under the conditions of same temperature and pressure. For example, here 2 volume of hydrogen. This coefficient 2 denotes that 2 volume of hydrogen combines with 1 volume of oxygen. Usually we won't write 1. If the reactant is not bearing the coefficient means that is understood there will be 1. So 2 volume of hydrogen reacts with 1 volume of oxygen to form 2 volume of water molecule, 2 volumes of water molecule. When we are calculating the ratio, here it is 2, here it is 1 and here it is 2. Therefore, 2:1:2. This is the simple whole number ratio. In this, hydrogen also gas and oxygen also gas. So, both the reactants are in gaseous state and the products formed here, water, that is not liquid water, this is water vapor. So, this is the product formed here is water vapor, this is also gas. So this law is applicable only to the gaseous reactants and gaseous products. Both should be in gaseous state. So now, whenever, once again I repeat, whenever gases react together to form gaseous product, the volume of the reacting gases and the product bear a simple whole number ratio, provided all the volumes are measured under the conditions of same temperature and pressure. That is the law. The pictorial representation is given, the diagrammatical representation is given. Here one volume of hydrogen, this is another volume of hydrogen. So totally 2 volume of hydrogen and 1 volume of oxygen react together forms 2 volume of a water vapor, 2 volumes of a water vapor. So water vapor is a gaseous state and these two are a gases. So these are the 5 laws governed to conduct a chemical reaction. And next we are going to see quantum numbers. You may ask, what is quantum number? What is quantum number means? When someone is that means stranger. When a stranger meets you, what he will be asking? He will be asking, where are you from? And you will be saying your place, from where you are coming. That means, if someone is asking me, where are you from means, first I will be saying my place, that is Salem. And then, if the stranger is known the place means, then next question will be like this, in which area you are from? Then I will be saying, I am from Old Bus Stand. Even the Old Bus Stand also known place to him means, the next question will be which street you are. So when I am saying the street, even the street also known place for him means, the next question will be like this, where is your house? So these are the details saying about my address. So like that, the electron also, already I told that where the electrons will find. Here the nucleus contains proton and neutron. The electrons revolve the nucleus in a circular path, and the circular path is called a orbit or shells. And in orbit also, the orbit is like a street for the electrons. The electrons always revolve around the nucleus in a circular path. The circular path is called the orbit. Orbit like a street of electron. So they will be roaming always in the street. And like we are taking rest at home, the electrons also will be taking rest. Where they will be taking rest? There will be 3-dimensional place. There will be 3-dimensional place in the orbit, that is called the orbital or subshell. This is called orbital or subshells. So the probability of finding most of the time the electron is orbital. Like we are staying most of our time in our home, the electrons will be staying most of the time in orbital. So orbital is the home of the electron, and the orbit is the street of the electron. So whenever they wants to take rest, they will be finding inside the orbit. Whenever they want to revolve around the nucleus, they will be following the circular path. So first we have to say the element. So the number of the designation given for the orbit is called a principal quantum number. For example, this is the first orbit, this is the second orbit. So the number given to the orbit is called a principal quantum number. So this is the first one is called the K shell, second one is called the L shell. So the first principal quantum number tells about the major energy level or orbit or shells. So that is the street. And then next to that, in that L shell we have spherical shape also, dumbbell shape also. The spherical shape is called the S orbital and dumbbell shape is called the P orbital. And we have DEF also. I will be explaining only with these two orbitals. So S orbital is in spherical in shape and P orbital is in dumbbell shape. The electrons will be finding their most of the time in this. They will be spending most of the time in the orbital. So if this also, K shell also contains S orbital. Only S orbital is there in first shell. There is no P orbital, only S orbital, because this is the smallest state. So it can have only one house in the, we can find only one house in the first state. But since the second state is much larger than the first state, it contains two houses, that is S house and a P house of electrons. So this number 1 and 2 denotes that principal quantum number, that is denoted by the letter N. If N is 1 means K shell, N value is 1 means K shell, if the N value is 2 means L shell, if the N value is 3 means M shell, if N value is 4 means N shell. N value 1 K shell, N value is 2 means L shell, N value is 3 means M shell, N value is 4 means N shell. So the number denoted as a principal quantum number tells about the order of the orbit. That is the first thing. So principal quantum number. And the second one, whether it is S orbit, the electron which we are denoting, the particular electron which we are denoting, whether it is in S shell or P shell, that is denoted by azimuthal quantum number. For example, N value is 2 means, that means the azimuthal quantum number in which orbital the electron is found, that means 2p or 2s. So that is denoted by the azimuthal quantum number. And then magnetic quantum number. The magnetic quantum number tells about the orientation, whether it is an x-axis or y-axis or z-axis. So the magnetic quantum number will tell us about the orientation of the electron in orbital. And then the electrons always spin in clockwise direction or in anti-clockwise direction. They will be spinning always. The spinning will take place in two directions, one is clockwise and another one is anti-clockwise. That is denoted by spin quantum number. So by collecting all the details, we can find out where the particular electron is located in an atom. So the 4 quantum numbers will tell us about the address of the electron, address of the particular electron. So what is quantum number means? The number which designates and distinguish the different atomic orbitals and the electrons present in an atom, that is called quantum number. So the number which designate and distinguish the different atomic orbitals and the electrons present in an atom, that is called quantum numbers. We have four different quantum numbers: principal quantum number, azimuthal quantum number, magnetic quantum number, spin quantum number. These are the four quantum numbers which tells about the address of the electron in an atom. In our book, the page number 136, the tabular column is given how to calculate the number of electrons, mass number, the number of protons, number of electrons and atomic number, and how to find out the name of the element. These are the things you have to find out. The tabular column is given like this. In first one, atomic number 9 is given. You know that what is atomic number? Atomic number is nothing but number of protons, number of electrons or number of protons. Any one we can account for calculating the atomic number, because both are equal in number, then only the atom is considered as electrically neutral. So the atomic number 9 means the number of electrons also 9 and the number of protons also 9. So we can fill these two columns. Here it is 9, here it is a 9. Because both are equal in number. Number of electrons and number of protons are equal in number. So the atomic number denotes that the number of electrons or number of protons. So electrons and protons are 9 in number. And what is mass number means? Mass number is nothing but sum of protons and neutrons. So mass number is nothing but sum means add, sum of protons and neutrons. Here, how many protons are there? 9. How many neutrons are there? 10. So by adding that, we can find out the mass number. Therefore 10 plus 9, that is 19, that is the mass number. And then for the atomic number 9, the element is fluorine. If the atomic number is 9 means the element is fluorine. And then in second case, atomic number is given, number of neutrons given, you have to find out the number of protons, number of electrons, name of the element and mass number. What is the number of neutrons given there? 16. And atomic number 16. So atomic number 16 means that is number of electrons and number of electrons or number of protons. Both are equal. Therefore we can place 16 here and here also we can place 16. And what is the mass number? Number of protons plus number of neutrons. Number of protons is 16, number of neutrons is 16. Therefore 16 plus 16 we are getting 32, that is the mass number. For the atomic number 16 and the mass number 32, the element is sulfur. And then next the mass number is given, mass number is 24 and the number of electrons given, that is 12. We know that the number of electrons and the number of protons are equal in number. So the number of electrons are 12 means the number of protons also 12. And how to find out the number of neutrons? by deducting the number of protons from mass number. So, number of neutrons. Number of neutrons is equal to mass number minus number of protons. So, what is the mass number given here? 24. Mass number here given is 24 and the number of protons are 12. Therefore, 24 minus 12 we are getting 12. And then atomic number, that is nothing but number of electrons or number of protons, since both are equal. I told both must be equal. Therefore, atomic number 12. For the atomic number 12, the element is magnesium. And in next case, mass number is given and then the number of protons given. They ask you to find number of electrons, name of the element, number of neutrons, atomic number. Already I told mass number is nothing but sum of protons and neutrons. Here it is a proton is given as 1. So if the proton is 1 means, number of proton is 1 means, number of electrons also 1. And then number of neutrons here, mass number, by deducting the number of protons from the mass number, by deducting the number of protons from the mass number, we can find out the number of neutrons. Therefore, 2 minus 1, we are getting 1 neutron. And what is the atomic number for the element means? Atomic number is 1. The atomic number is 1 means that is nothing but hydrogen. Hydrogen contains 3 isotopes, H11, H12, H13. These are the atoms of the same element having the same atomic number but different mass number because of the difference in number of neutrons. Here it contains only 1 neutron, here no neutron at all. For this no neutron at all, only 1 proton, only 1 electron. Here 1 electron, 1 proton plus 1 neutron. Here 1 proton only, no neutron. Neutron is 0. And then in third case 1 proton, 2 neutron. So all the 3 cases are different number of neutrons. So what is isotope means? Atoms of the same element having the same atomic number but different mass number. The difference in mass number because of the number of neutrons. Here it is 0 neutron, here it is 1 neutron, here it is 2 neutron. So the difference in mass number is because of the difference in number of neutrons. So isotopes. Here the atomic number also 1 and then the mass number is 2. 2 means this is the first isotope is called protium and then this is called deuterium and this is called tritium. Here H12, that means atomic number 1 but the mass number is 2 means the isotope is nothing but deuterium. And then in last case mass number is given as 1, number of neutrons is given as 0. So and the number of proton is given as 1 and number of electron is given as 1. So what will be the atomic number? Of course, atomic number is 1. Therefore, the mass number 1 and the atomic number also 1, there is no neutron means that is nothing but a protium, isotope of a hydrogen, protium. So this is the way of calculating the number of electrons, number of neutrons and number of protons if the atomic number and the mass number are known means. Just I am going to recollect the things that we have seen in this class. What are the things we discussed? First, in this topic, we discussed about the discovery of nucleus, that is done by Rutherford, and then Rutherford's atom model and its limitations. And then the third topic we discussed is Niels Bohr's atom model. And its limitations. And then the discovery of neutrons. And then atomic structure, that means the two parts of an atom. That is, what are the two parts in that? The shells or orbits in which the electrons revolve around the nucleus, and the center part nucleus. So nucleus and the outer part, these two are the two parts of an atom. And then the next topic we discussed in previous class is valence electron, valency, and then electronic configuration of elements, and geometric representation of atomic structure of an atom of element, and then laws of chemical reaction, five laws. What are the five laws? Law of conservation of mass, law of constant proportion, law of multiple proportion, law of Gay-Lussac's law of combining volume, and law of reciprocal proportion. These are the five laws we discussed in this class. And the last topic we discussed in this class is quantum number. So these are the topics given under the topic atomic structure of an atom. Atomic structure. And then problems based on atomic structure also we discussed. I hope you understood the things. Thank you, dear students. Stay home, be safe.